I'm so excited today that I have one of the successful property investors and a very good friend of mine, Dr. Yogesh Patel. Welcome, Dr. Yogesh Patel, on this show. So, would you like to introduce yourself first? Tell me a little bit more about it, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for inviting me in. I appreciate it. I'm Dr. Yogesh Patel. I'm actually a GP in Croydon, working full time, but I've got a property portfolio built out over the last few years, which range from the buy-to-lets, HMOs, which are house multiple occupancy. I've done a few refurbishments and flips. I've done some title splitting, planning gain, even have service accommodation, and I also have a young family as well. So a lot of people have been asking about how I managed to fit all that in, and so that's why I've come along to give you a bit of.
Interesting to know that you're hands-on on many things, isn't it? That's really great to know.
Yeah.
And how did it all started? Just tell me a little more about, so our audience will also know a little more, how it started.
Yeah, like the property. I don't know. I guess the first deal was when I was a medical student. Now, believe it or not, in about the year 2001, when I was a final year medical student, they gave me a mortgage with no income. You can't imagine that happening now, but they gave me a mortgage.
I remember, yeah.
And I just went to the bank and I said, I'm a final year medical student, here's a letter. And they gave me a mortgage. And so I bought an off plan, so something that hadn't been built, but was being built. I bought that, it got built, and then 6 months later, at that time the market was hot, it was worth £20,000 more. I was going to live there, but my plans changed, so I sold it. Didn't do any work to it, and I made £20,000 profit. And at that time I thought, this is so easy and so amazing. I wish I'd carried on, but I had to be trained to be a doctor at that point, so it was hard. But I remember that. That's my first time.
So when was it? Which year was it?
2001.
Oh, great.
2001, I think. I graduated 2001, 2002. So yes, about that time.
That's great. You got involved in property business since long, at much younger age, I assume.
No, that was my first deal, but I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I kind of was finishing up my training, I got back into property, and I restarted probably around 2007, I'd say now. So I'd say I've been doing it for about over 10 years.
Oh, great. So if I ask you, what was the best deal you ever had in last, 10, 15 years?
I like planning uplift. So this wasn't the plan. This kind of happened by fluke in a way, but I'm a lot more focused now. So I got this bungalow in Croydon. It was 365,000. Trying to remember the figures off my head, and I just got it to rent out and maybe convert into a family home. That was the whole point, because it was a big plot. And then with some help, we got planning to make it into 4 flats, and somebody bought it for 650,000, and I didn't do any building work, and that was, I don't know, that's almost £300,000 profit for what I think is more of a paperwork exercise. So that's probably going to be the best. And I wish I could do 2 or 3 of those a year. I'd be very happy.
So how long it took you, and then what was the return on investment if you were to work that out roughly?
I could have done it in 6 months, but because the plan was to rent it and make it a family home, we did it over 2 or 3 years. But that's because it was an alternative reason. And I put 25% in deposit. So 25% of 365 is about 100,000. And the profit was about 250 after all costs. So that makes 250% return.
50% return. Not bad, isn't it? That's why I say, people say, the property business. But when you look at this, the overall return on investment that you can really make, in property deal is far greater than, any other investment out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
amazing.
Mhm. Also, do tell us, like, what was the worst deal or worst situation you have ever faced in property investment journey?
I think I've had some problems with solicitors.
Mhm.
I always assumed a solicitor would be quite competent, but I've had two problems with solicitors, with two different solicitors. So one
Uh-huh.
problem was they failed to register the mortgage charge on a property I bought, which you might think is not a problem, but when it came to remortgaging, because their charge wasn't registered, they wouldn't let me remortgage. So that was a problem. So that caused remortgage problems when I wanted to pull out some extra finance. Recently, a different solicitor has failed to register some parking I purchased for a flat. And so legally, I have no right to the parking, which I paid £10,000 for. And they've missed it
They
off the
did not
title.
demise that into the title.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was shocked because it's in the contract and
Oh.
I paid the money. So how they missed that, I'm shocked about. I mean, yeah, it's. I think it'll be rectified, and I'll go to the legal ombudsman if I have to. But it's just quite frustrating when you pay someone to do something and they get it so wrong. Yeah.
Did you take any action, like try to remedify or go after your solicitor to ask them to correct it, or?
The first time I went to the legal ombudsman, I learned how to get things done through the legal ombudsman. I would say you need to be prepared for a lot of time-consuming battles actually with them, but they normally understand where you're coming from. And the more recent time, I'm giving my solicitor a chance to rectify it. I think they will rectify it, but I think they're going to end up paying for a new parking space out of their own pocket, and they'll just have to buy it at their cost and then give it to me. I think that's what they have to do.
That's why it's very important. The listener out here who are listening to this or watching this on any of those platforms, YouTube, Facebook, or other social media platform, like to have the right professional team around you. Even like, and it is very much, natural that you may not probably know a solicitor, whether he's competent or not, until you have used them, right? And that's why we always say, use somebody who is recommended by someone or somebody who's already have a track record. Because, even fighting against a solicitor is not going to be that easy as well, right? Because they can have an in-house team, whereas you may have a limited resources to probably go after. And also, most important thing is the time and the hassles that you face. So it's, certainly this team that we built over a period of time worth really a lot. Now, another question is, so tell us the best advice that you have ever had. Best piece of advice that you have ever had. Just give me a minute. I'll put this one in.
So I totally agree. You need a good team, and I've now learned only use people who've been recommended. It's not worth the risk usually. Your question was, what's the best advice I've had?
Advice you have ever had, yeah.
I think network has got to be one of the best, and value time. Time is your most important commodity. So those two things. So there's two answers to that question. One is network. The more people you know, the more people in your phone book, the more people you can call for a quick chat, quick bit of advice, the better it is, because little problems can be solved by the right people. So the more people you know, the better. I feel privileged to have that network I've got now. And time. So you can make money, you can spend money, but money can be made again. Time, you never get any second back. And I think you might see later on when I answer one of your other questions that you'll see what I mean by that. But time, make sure time is preserved.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing. In fact, that's why, we have this property investors meetup group that we do every month. That's the whole reason. I mean, you've been joining that as well for the last few months. You're finding it helpful, isn't it?
Yes.
So the listener, those who
Yeah.
are listening or watching this video, of course, we'll leave some links as well, so you can join our property investors meetup. And of course, there are many people running out there. Just go and join the near one. Even these days, we are doing online, so you can join from any part of the world. And of course, the time, yes, you are correctly spot on. Like time is, I mean, many times people say, this when the deal comes, they look at return on investment, on the money investment. But I also say that not only look at that, return on the time investment as well. So when the deal comes to me, I always look at both ways. Not only just the return on investment, but also the return of time we will invest on any particular deal or any particular work. So that's, I mean, because time can never come back. Like it's like we are gifted with, I think, 86,400 minutes every day. How you spend them is very much, the importance and the skillful skills. Of course, I'm sure you are going to share that as well later on. But these are the things you can't save. So every day you are given this 86,400 minutes, which you can't carry forward next day. You got to use them wisely on the same day to the best possible. Yeah. So so that's here is very beautiful thing. So let's say if somebody gives you £1 million today, how would you invest, or where would you invest, and why?
So I just want to say, I'm glad you do your network meetings. It's like last time I came, you had Shaz Nawar, the really good tax advisor, accountant. So you get some great people. So I just want to take that opportunity to say thank you for organising them and letting me come. What was your question? Sorry, say that again.
The question was, if you were to give, I mean, if you were to get extra £1 million today, where will you use them and why? Where will you invest them and why?
I think, sorry, my son has just put his hand up. He wants to answer.
That's right.
How I would do it, he might have a different answer to me, is I'd probably just put it in a long-term buy and hold investment, getting at least 20% return on cash invested, which might be a few properties, something in the Manchester or up north type area, maybe let to social or supported housing or the council, maybe an HMO or single let, and live off the £200,000 income for the rest of my life. I think that's what I would do. And people don't believe in get 20% return on cash, but you can. And that's plenty of money to live on. But I think that's my answer. Yeah.
And also, I think we did touch upon on this part before. But according to you, what have been the biggest failure or setback in your last 10 years or 15 years of property investment journey? And I mean, how would you say, like, what do you think, why that happened? Maybe something else if you have.
Yeah, the only other thing I wish I'd done sooner or investigated sooner is it's about time. And I wish I'd got an assistant or focused. I've tried to get an assistant, virtual assistant or personal assistant. It hasn't worked out. I wish I'd got somebody to help me with that, basically, or even paid someone to help me with that, because I've got some now. I'm trying to get someone a bit more professional. But once you've got the right assistants, I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to implement. But I'm also the one kind of getting them done, which is so time consuming and so energy draining. And really, you just want the idea and you want the space in your brain and you want to give the task to somebody else. And I think once I crack that, a lot of other things will just happen. You'll have a lot more time. You'll be more relaxed. I think you just make more money because your ideas are what creates the money. That's what I would say.
And what advice would you give to your younger self? If you were to go back 10 years back, what advice would you give to yourself to do?
I think I should have been networking from the age of 16. And maybe there weren't network meetings when I was 16 years old. I don't think it matters that you don't have money. People don't do property because they believe they need money. I now believe you don't. I mean, I do because I've got my job, but you can source, you can do rent to rent, you could learn from other people. There are so many ways to learn property without having money and making money from it. So if there were not network meetings 20 years ago, then I would have found some people doing property and just said, I'll help you for free. Just teach me what you're doing. I'm going to help you for free. And that's probably what I'd have done. And yeah, I think that's the answer.
You would have spent more time with the like-minded people or people who are in the property game. Yeah, that certainly helps, makes your journey easy. And tell us, so basically you, by profession, you're a doctor, right? So how do you manage this property investment business in your normal day-to-day life? What are the things? How do you manage all of these things?
So I think that's more, I've got some slides prepared. I don't know if you want me to show them now or later, but I think it's best.
If you'd like to share through a slide,
yeah. Shall I do that?
To share that, yes.
I've got lots of tips.
Our listener can also, our viewer can also watch something more on a training side of it.
Okay, so I'll bring up my slides. I think that will make it easier.
Sure.
Right, so here we go. Okay, so this is a little talk I've prepared, and that question you just asked me, I get asked every day, really. People can't believe that I have time to do things, and also my contact details are on most of the slides. If you want to contact me, feel free. I'm happy to help when I can, but I think I already answered why I invest in property. It's really for freedom, and I enjoy it. I'm going to go through a deal in this to show you how I've done things, and then I'll talk about your question, which is about time and outsourcing, how I get things done. And if people want a bit of mentoring, I'm happy to talk to them about that later. So it's a bit about me. I'm not just a GP and treating patients. That's my office. I also teach medical students. I also train what we call foundation year doctors, junior doctors, and also train up GPs to become, or GP trainees to become GPs. So I'm also a partner, so I'm not just employed. I own the business, or part of the business with the other partners, and we have all the other issues like running the business, the money, the staff, and we're profit sharing. So I would say quite a lot of work is involved with managing practice, which kind of has synergy with property business. I told you about how I started with my mortgage without having any income. Because my son's around, I won't read out that word, but it's freedom. But I think you can understand what I mean. Contribution. So there is something about I want to give back to the world. I haven't quite figured out what that is, but I feel like that's more to life than just what I'm doing. I feel like there's something I need to give back, and there's a new challenge I need as well. So I'm going to give you one deal that I've done loads of deals, one different deal, and then if you want me to do something about more deals later, I can do that. But here's a 2-bed flat in Crystal Palace, which I got from an estate agent. It was a flip, a below market value and an add value. It did everything. The owner was in some financial stress, and I converted a 2-bed into a 3-bed. Now, maybe I can ask you, oh, hang on. I think my slides are in, oh yeah, sorry. So before I show the deal, this is my tips on how to find a deal. Be very specific about what you want. Don't just say you want a deal. Say, I want it in this postcode. I want it, this is my budget. This is the profit I need. This is the rental it needs, whatever. Be very specific. Otherwise you won't get what you want. It's too much. Leaflets and letters. I've only sent out 20 letters in my lifetime. Yet I've had 1 or 2 people pick up the letter and ring me. And one of them was, I sent out a letter 6 months ago. So I'm actually going to be sending out about 2,000-3,000 letters in a couple of weeks and see what happens. I think they will be powerful in the next 6 months. Estate agents is where I got this one from. You need to make friends with them. You need to see them every week. You need to go on viewings with them. And once they trust you, they will give you the properties you want, but it takes time. Networking meetings, as I said, go out, tell everyone what you want, find sources. Obviously, some sources are great, some are not so great, but tell everyone what you're looking for. Repeat it, repeat it, and repeat it. Put it on your business card. Just keep repeating it. Landlord shows, picked up kind of an off-plan deal in landlord show. And Rightmove, just in Rightmove, if you tick the box, the price, the postcode, you'll be surprised what things are there which are sitting there and no one's picked up. And if you look at things that have been there for a while, they might take a good offer. So Rightmove is a good place to look, and you can do that anytime. So this one was with an agent. Now I'll ask you. Let's see if I can test you. Do you mind if I test you? This is the floor plan. This is the floor plan after I did the conversion. And this is now a 3-bedroom. What do you think the floor plan was like before? What changes do you think I've made?
Seems like you moved the kitchen to in a lounge.
Correct. Yeah, well done. Oh, you're clever. Yeah, the kitchen where it says bedroom on the left-hand side, that's where the kitchen was. So I put the kitchen in the lounge. So the lounge became the lounge churned into a kitchen lounge, and the bedroom was a 3rd bedroom was created from the old kitchen, and that was it really. So if you find that floor plan when you're looking at Rightmove, think about it. If it's a large lounge, think about converting it into a kitchen lounge and creating a 3rd bedroom. That single manoeuvre makes that property worth £100,000 more, but it doesn't cost £100,000 to do that. And that's a simple trick I learned.
Yeah, that's what we tell people. Just small things can just add value simply by tweaking a bit. Yes.
These are the numbers. So purchase price 3. Well, I'll summarise it. It's £120,000 profit. I put in 225,000 with deposits and build costs, and the return on cash invested was 53%. So not as good as what I said before, but I think most people would be happy with that profit margin. And if you want more detailed numbers on the right-hand side, which is purchase price 350, I've selling it at 625. The deposit was 90. All the stamp and legals about 20. The build was probably higher than I should have done, but 115. And so if you do the maths, the return is £120,000 profit divided by the 225 cost in, so it's 53,000. Just checking you can still hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. So this was within a year or something, is it? Or
yeah, I'd say a year for selling.
Right, 53% is really great.
Yeah,
within a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy with that. This is what it looked like when I finished.
Yeah, that's great.
So time, you asked me about time. This saying, once this got in my head, it made a big difference. So rich people spend money to save time, and poor people spend time to save money. And it took me a while to get that for some reason, but if you get that, then you will get why some people are rich and some people are poor, because when I was a kid, my upbringing was save every single penny. It's very important. But you might spend 10 hours saving 10p. And I don't know why you get brought up. Lots of people get brought up with that attitude. But when you change your mindset to, no, save your time and then you'll be better off. It's really important to get that into your head. And then everything kind of flowed from that. So when you decide it's good to pay people to do things for you, you need to find the right people to outsource to. So this is little calculation which I think everyone should do, which is work out what you earn in a year, say, or take the profit in your tax return you filed, or your P end, is it called P60, whatever your end of year salary is. Right. Divide it by the number of hours you spend on that work. And if you divide it by 52 and divide it by the number of hours per week, you get your by hour.
Yeah.
And it might be £10, it might be £100, but say it was £50, and then you think, well, how much does a cleaner cost? No more than £15 an hour. So if you're getting £50 an hour in your job, or if you look at the deal I just did, I mean, the number of hours spent on that deal probably is no more than 100 hours. So if you did the maths, that deal per hour is, if it was 125,000, and it's probably something like 1,000 or 2,000 pound an hour, that deal, it works out roughly. You should pay a cleaner £50 an hour to your cleaning. You shouldn't be doing your cleaning. And that's a good exercise for you to get around in your head. So if there's an interactive talk, I'd ask people, do you have a cleaner, ironer, housekeeper, nanny? Do you do online shopping? Do you have a shopper? Do you have a cook? Because compared to what you can earn, they're less expensive, and your time is what's the most important. So I would highly recommend people think about this anyway. So the other thing, this is what I'm working on now, but virtual assistants. Now, the problem is it can go wrong if you don't know how to manage them. And that's what I've had difficulty in. And it's a bit about you and a bit about them. So what I found is working for me. These are some websites where you can find virtual assistants. And I think, you could either advertise and get your own, or you can get these agencies to give you some already trained up, and you pay as you want them and by the hour. So if you found your own, and I'm talking about virtual assistants abroad at the moment, you probably need a UK one as well, but if abroad in the Philippines, I've got one who's happy to take £2.50 an hour.
Oh yes, that's right.
And he's actually really good. But through an agency, you might pay £6 or £7 an hour. But because they're trained up and they're cheaper than the UK VA would be, they're still worth it. And they can do a lot of research. And what I found hard is what to delegate to them and how to train them. But some of these companies teach you that and manage that for you, so it takes that headache away. There's a really good program called Screen-O-Matic. Record your computer tasks, repetitive computer tasks, which might be go on Rightmove, filter your properties out that you want, and send that recording to the VA. They learn what you need to do every week, and then they can do it and send you an Excel summary, and saves you doing that, 1 hour a week. But I would highly recommend people look into this, and get somebody really, or get a few. That's one thing I found is going to help my journey. What else have I got here? Oh, online sites. So these save me a lot of time. I'll go through some of them. mybill.com. If you need a maintenance job, post it on. Be very detailed, photos as well. And what I say to them is, look, quote on the details I've given you, and then you just pick someone and they come along and they do the job, hopefully. And as long as you agree to pay them after the job's done, there shouldn't be any problems. But that's quicker than phoning around people. And people are available, they only post because they get charged. They're not going to post unless they can do the job. Facebook is good for, I'm a member of a few groups like planning groups and trying to think property groups. And if you post questions, you usually get a sense of a good idea where to go if you're stuck, or recommendations. LinkedIn, the same thing really. Local Surveyor Direct. That's just a place to get opinions about surveyors. But obviously, we've got you, so maybe we don't need that website anymore. Yeah. Nextdoor.
You can find me there as well.
You're there as well. Brilliant. So you're
Yeah.
Nextdoor.com is just people in your neighborhood who are looking for jobs or gardeners. That's quite responsive. WhatsApp groups have become really powerful. I'm probably a member of 20 WhatsApp groups, and you get really good referrals in the right groups of things you need or problems being solved. So I find them really powerful. there's something called Shipley. If you need something couriered from one A to B, that's like a website to get something couriered, and they compete against each other. And it's a post, so that it saves you ringing around and emailing around, and it saves me a lot of time. Accounting. Now, but believe it or not, I don't have
But
bookkeeping.
you can have VA to do all of this as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you save your time even
Yeah.
posting the job there.
You're right. You call your VA and say, post this. And that's what I did for Shipley. I need the mattress returned. I told them to post it on Shipley and I think Hermes and some other websites. And they emailed me at the end of the day saying, this is your cheapest place. And they can even book it for you if you want them to. So I just need the idea and it takes me seconds, and they do the hours work for you. And because they saved me 40, £50 on the postage, their £6 an hour was well worth paying them to do. It's a bit of a no-brainer, really. So that's how you need to think about things. Okay, so accounting. Believe it or not, I didn't have a bookkeeper up until a year ago. And I can't believe I didn't have a bookkeeper. And it's very time consuming, and I hated doing my tax return. So for me, I use Xero, and my bookkeeper pulls in everything, and they get all my receipts, and they upload everything ready for my accountant. I think if you're running a proper business, you need to have management accounts and looking at them every month. But if you haven't got a bookkeeper, you need to have a bookkeeper. It takes up too much time otherwise, and you make mistakes and you forget to expense things. And the more things you forget to expense, the more tax you'll pay. So it will pay for itself. What else have we got here? Some apps. Let's see, everyone probably knows these apps. Audible for books. So if you're moving around or doing the ironing, you can listen to books. Zoom calls, which obviously everyone knows about. So we don't travel to meetings anymore. Calendar. Well, this is what I do to get things done. And it's probably not the most efficient way of doing things, but if there's a job I need to get done, I put it in my calendar. It repeats every day, and it never gets deleted until it's done. So it gets done eventually. There's probably a better way of doing that, but I found having a list, I would just ignore a list. So that's my trick for me. Obviously, doing things by email rather than phone calls can be time-saving. Camcard was an app when you had business cards for scanning all the details into your contacts quickly. Google Drive is a must, I think, for all your online documents, because it takes so much time to find information unless you can get it online. Because if it's paper files, it takes time to get it. OneNote I use for taking notes at property talks. So it's like a booklet, but an electronic booklet. And you can refer to that later if you need it and have it cloud-based. Siri, Cortana, you can just talk to your computer and tell it to do things. Reminder apps remind you to do things. What else? Dictation. I've been surprised how many people don't know that Apple computers, I don't know about Windows. Oh, there's Google.
Windows, yeah, Windows does as well. Like
Yeah.
Microsoft has these features.
Yeah, I don't actually know.
They type it out. I mean, the latest one I use, this 365, it does everything. I mean, it's like a virtual assistant. You just keep speaking and they type everything. I mean, and very efficient, in fact. I've noticed that it's quite helpful.
Well, how do you access it? Is it a button?
So there are two, like 365 degree. There's a button. You you click that mic button and you start speaking and keep writing for you.
Okay.
That was I found. Yeah.
I didn't know Windows had it, but yeah.
Yeah. Most of them they are now started off, which is quite good tool actually,
Yeah. Obviously, the iPhone has got it, and Apple's got it. But the button is like function twice. It's not easy. It's not intuitive, I find, but it saves a lot of time. The other place I found it is Google Docs. I think Google Docs via Google Drive, and it's a bit tricky to find. But if you find Google Docs from Google Drive, there's a function somewhere in Tools that says Dictate, and obviously dictating is far quicker than typing, if it's accurate. So that saved a lot of time. And there are apps you can get which do transcriptions as well, which I use. Backing up your data for obvious reasons. You lose your data, you're going to have problems. CRM I haven't used, but I'm researching heavily now. So if anyone has any tips on CRM programs, then I would love to hear from them, because I think that will save a lot of time too. Then I've got tips about property specific things. So conveyancing, you know all about this, but I'm the kind of guy who tries lots of people until I'm happy. So for example, with conveyancing, I think physically used 20 different ones for different conveyancing things. And as I've already mentioned, I've been appalled about the quality of some of them. So try and get recommendations. But with the conveyancer, I think it's important to email them. I think it's important to try and get weekly updates from them. Otherwise, I find that you're not on the top of their pile, and they may not do things on your
Because they
file.
haven't, yeah, I find that, I mean, they are not as much motivated as we are as an investor. So we
Yeah.
got to be on top of it and keep persuading and keep, following up every week.
Yeah, you're right. So, so now what I'm going to do is diarise things into my calendar, and it will repeat every week. Get an update from the solicitor. I think if you have CRM, that can be done automatically. So
there are some companies, some panels, they offer it online update. But then again, then you got to go everything online. So those are the company where you can't really pick up your phone and speak to them. But then certainly, like, there are some who are good and they update as they go along. But then it's difficult to chase them or speed. I mean, it's difficult sometimes to speeding the process. And in those cases, so there are always plus and minus points.
I think whenever I'm interviewing a conveyancer now, I make sure they pick up their phone and I can talk to them. If they don't do that when I'm getting a quote, I'm not using them. So I've learned that's a good trick. But get a quote, make sure you can call them at any time you want to call them, and make sure they pick up the phone, they call you back quite soon. That's important when you have trouble. You need to be able to call them. So what else? If you're in a real hurry, so I have exchanged one property in my previous deal. I've exchanged, including a mortgage, in 2 weeks, which is super fast. It was one of these bank repositions that had to be done in 2 weeks. And the tips I learned from that are, before you get the contract papers, start the searches. There's no reason why from the address you can't start the searches. You don't need to wait for the other party's contract papers. And that will save you a lot of time. Just give the solicitor the address, pay for the searches, and get it done. Selling. If you're selling, pay for the searches yourself and give them to the buyer, so they can't say that's a delay. They've already got them. And that's usually the main delay. If you're in a hurry, do that. If it's a leasehold, get the management pack, because that takes time, particularly for the council, for example, and give it to the buyer or seller. And I said, keep in contact. I mean, these things, I think, what take up time.
And anyways, like many companies, they do is they anyways try and recover the cost of searches from the buyer. Like, if you notice, in auction room, mostly that's how they do, because they want to save time. And anyways, the cost is down to the buyer to pay at the end. So one can cleverly do that as well.
Yeah, you could charge them, couldn't you? You can say, here it is.
At the end of the day, buyer is anyways going to get a search done at some point.
Yeah.
And that will save people not to invest money until they're 100% sure that they're buying it. So it saves it basically in a way.
And we're not talking about big money. We're talking about a couple of £100. If you
Yes, yeah, I know. Yeah, local authority searches, yeah, and bits of title searches and all, yeah.
But if you've got if you're trying to sell something, you've got a mortgage on it. That £200 is insignificant compared to your mortgage cost.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, no one ever shares these tricks, but they're useful to have in the back if you need something done quickly.
Really, I'm sure our viewers will be, of course, finding it quite useful, and it's like something which comes from a great wealth of experience that they can really take advantage of.
Thank you. And then tips on speeding up selling a property. So what have we got here? Oh, yeah. So if you want something to go through in your selling, the things I've learned that are helpful are, get you or get your solicitor or get the agent to check they've actually got proof they've got the funds, or get the mortgage. If the survey's not been done in a couple of weeks, then they need a good reason for that not having been done. Ask them for the solicitor's name early on in the process. And if you really want them to be serious, think about asking for a non-refundable deposit, which is, well, it's refundable if there's an obvious problem why they can't buy the property because it's in a poor state or fails the surveyor's report. But other than that, or search problem, title problem, they should give you the deposit, which can go via solicitors if you need it to. And if they're serious, there's no reason why they won't give you a deposit, because unless they're intending to pull out for other reasons, they would. So I've learned if you want a bit of certainty, asking
Like commitment from their side, isn't it? Like commitment.
Yeah, then most people, I would pay a deposit if I wanted the property, unless there was something, wrong that was not obvious. I would. I don't see why other people wouldn't, because it's so easy to pull out otherwise. So easy to pull out from these deals. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. Let's see. Getting your offer accepted. So if you're buying, particularly if it's a hot market, which some might argue right now is quite a good market, and there's few offers on the table. What I tend to do is obviously I try and get friendly with the agent, so they put your name forward. Email your solicitor when you put the offer in. Email your solicitor's name. Offer that for them or the agent to ring your solicitor to confirm that they've done property transactions for you. You're not your first time. Mortgage. Yeah, I get my mortgage brokers to write a letter or do an AIP, and I get them to write it in a nice way, which kind of shows that I've got the money and the mortgageability. And be very confident when you put your offer in. Don't hesitate. Don't change your mind. Don't say, "Oh, it doesn't help." You just have to say, "Yeah, I definitely want it. That's my price. This will happen." Be confident, and I think that makes a difference. Tips on speeding. Building work. So what I have done is, while you're going through the conveyancing or something you're buying, to get the building work started earlier, get your building quotes in, even before you've exchanged, try and negotiate that with the agent.
Yes, that's right. They do sometimes allow access. At least you can get your builder around and get pricing done, isn't it, before completion?
Yeah. And that saves a lot of time, and you get 3 or 4 building quotes and pick who you like. Try and book the builders in as soon as you exchange or complete. Obviously, that if it falls through, your builders won't be happy, but try. The other thing I was going to say is, if you have a good relationship with the vendor, try and get key access and undertaking to do building works upon exchange, and maybe have a 3 or 4 week delayed completion, so that during that time when you're not paying the mortgage, you have the building work started. So maybe when you complete, a lot of the work is done. It's ready to sell or let.
Less voids.
Yeah. I've done that once, and I got the whole work done. It was ready to let by the time when I completed. And managing refurb. I've managed one refurb. I never want to manage a refurb again. And particularly with my full-time job, that was all my weekends gone. Just pay a project manager. They'll probably end up saving you their fees and more. I think unless you really enjoy it, we have lots of time, just pay a project manager. It's worth it.
Certainly, yes. Yeah, of course, one has to get a professional and save time there.
Yeah. Picking a builder, what a nightmare builders can be. I've been taken to court by one builder, so it would definitely be a nightmare for me. And they tried to sue me, which was interesting. Get an experienced project manager, already said that. You can put in your JCT or contract things like liquidation clauses, which means if they overrun, they need to pay you. Get a detailed schedule of works or specifications.
Yeah, say that, yes.
Writing before you quote the job. Pay someone or do it yourself, but avoids arguments later about what was going to be done and what wasn't going to be done. That is one
Yes.
tip. And what I do is I visit the sites randomly, don't warn them I'm coming, I just pop in, and that gives you a good clue. And I ask them for video and phone updates so I know it's on track,
Mm.
or the project manager does that. Tips for finding good letting agents. Speak to 3 landlords for the agents you're interested in and see what the landlords say. That's probably the most important tip.
Yes.
See some current properties. Mystery shopper means ring them up, pretend to be a tenant, see how they handle you. If they don't answer the phone or they don't get back to you, you know there's a problem. And there's something called All Agents Review. It's like a review for feedback on agents. A lot of people have heard of it, but people can comment on what they felt their agents were like. So it's a useful place to look. So yeah, that's nearly finished. So I've talked about why I like to invest in property. To be honest, I enjoy it. I have a feeling I'd probably do it even if there's no money in it. It's just a lot of fun for me. I told you about one of the deals I've done, tips on using your time well, and tips on outsourcing. And as I said, if anyone wants a bit of mentoring, there's my contact details. Apparently, if you point your camera at the QR code, it puts my contact details on your phone automatically, so that will save you some time. And there's some more of my contact details, and that's the last slide. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy people to contact me. WhatsApp is my preferred way. Obviously, I am working full time, so if I don't get back to you straight away, just message me again, and I will eventually. I hope that was clear and helpful.
No, that was really great, Yogesh. I mean, you shared like a lot of good tips. Like I'm sure our viewers will be, of course, finding it very much useful, especially those who are on early stage and can save themselves not making those mistakes that you can see now, and they can certainly speed up their journey, how to invest fast and quicker. And before we finish up for today, anything else or any final words or any tips you like to give it to our viewers today? Or any final words would you like to say to them for today?
Firstly, thank you so much for letting me do this. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Secondly, I think I'm going to repeat what I've already said, which is network, network, network. Just meet people doing property and talk to them and tell them what your issues, problems, questions, concerns are. And you'll be surprised how many people will just help you for no money. Just for some reason, it's really supportive world, the property world. And there are very few people who are not friendly and supportive. Very unlike most professions, there doesn't seem to be this competition or this, I don't know, it's nice. It's a good way to make good friends. So
yeah, of course, people are like out there to help you. Some people may charge, some may not charge, but then certainly it's worth even paying them time or money if you can really, if that can help you to increase your in your property journey. That
yeah,
certainly makes every penny worthwhile. That's why people find a mentor or trainers or learn to speed up this journey actually in total.
I
So this, yeah,
totally agree. I was going to say that too. Yeah, I mean, just because you can get free advice, if you really want to accelerate your journey, definitely worth paying the right people, because it will save you a lot of time and a lot of mistakes and probably a lot of money. And I definitely have gained a lot of value from my mentors. So I think that's important.
definitely. So yeah, on that note, that's really great, Dr. Yogesh Patel. It's lovely to have you here. And for our viewers, the message in case wherever you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or any other social media channel, please follow us there. If you are on the YouTube channel, please do hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our upcoming videos and any other knowledge that we are going to come up with. And do see in our description some other links where you can follow other ways of how you can find the training on a website, which is propertyexpertacademy.com. Or if you are looking for a mentor, then you can certainly find and reach out to us, and then we'll be happy to help. So thanks very much. We'll look forward to speaking to you again. And thanks, Dr. Yogesh.
Thank you very much. Bye.